France has given us a lot of great things. Baguettes, the Eiffel Tower, and the art of surrender. I can't put this in. But one of the greatest things it has given us is Karim the Dream Benzema. The man has won 4 Ligue 1 titles, 4 La Liga titles, and 5 Champions Leagues. Oh, and also he's won that thing called the Ballon d'Or as well. I mean, I still think my achievements are better. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't seen Benzema win a runners-up trophy for an under-11s cup final. So who's really the better striker?
There's no way he just did that.
Either way, I sent the boy Benzema packing to an absolute train wreck of a team called Elche. I knew Angers and Wolves were bad, but this team is a whole nother level. I mean, the lads have not won a game this season, so they definitely could do with the Ballon d'Or winner's help. Next, I looked at the team, and as you expected, it was absolute dross.
Fuck you.
You look like an absolute bag of shit.
After the team analysis, I put Benzema into the squad and kicked off the La Liga season. Our first 3 games actually were really decent. It was a rocky start at Valencia where our keeper becomes Stevie Wonder and misses the ball and we lose 1-0. But we did bounce back with a win against Real Sociedad 3-1 and Getafe 2-0, where Benzema got himself a brace. We couldn't go 3 wins in a row though. We do lose to Celta Vigo 1-0, but we do make up for it by beating Almeria 2-0 and then drawing to Mallorca 0-0. And after the 6 games, we were 7th place with 10 points. 1 place off the Europa League Conference, which was actually quite impressive because the team couldn't hit a barn door to save their life.
Just get a life.
Then we ended September with a battle against Osasuna. I mean, I say battle, but we literally got fisted for 90 minutes and then lost 3-1. And that was not a great way to go into our next game against Sevilla, a big team that can do a lot of damage. Somehow though, we kept on par and then scored and then won the game. Honestly, one of the better performances that we had this season. And then after the Sevilla game, I looked at the consistency in my form, and there wasn't any. I mean, most of our form looked like a drunken traffic light. Things were not consistent and they needed to change. But it all went lopsided against Rayo Vallecano. We do keep up with them by both of us scoring 3 goals apiece, but then they step it up a gear by scoring 2 more goals and winning 5-3. And after 2 stalemates against Bilbao and Real Valladolid, we absolutely slapped up Espanyol 3-1, with one of them being an absolute worldie of a header that comes off the crossbar and goes in. And after 12 games in the league, we were still in 7th place. We had 18 points and we were chasing Celta Vigo and Real Sociedad, who were in 6th and 5th place. I was actually so surprised how well Elche were playing. I mean, for a team that hasn't won a game this season, they actually didn't seem too shit. After checking the league stats, I went into the Cadiz game. I honestly thought this being an all-you-could-eat buffet because looking at their form, they looked like absolute shit. And I was completely right. We take the lead from a Benzema header, and then in the 90th minute, we finish them off with Roger Marti scoring. In the last 6 games, we literally only lost 1 game. It was a miracle. But it all changed in the next game against Valencia. We do go 1-0 up. Benzema scoring a dirty chip over their keeper, but we couldn't keep him out. Our defenders started pussyfooting and let Villarreal score 2 goals. And that's how the game ended. We lost 2-1. The game after that did not go much better either. We played Malaga in the Spanish Cup, and we go 2-0 down straight away as well. We get one back with Roger Marti, but it isn't enough. We lose 2-1 again. We then had Atletico Madrid in the league, and I thought I was going to get battered like a fish. Look at that recent form. I was like, honestly, I'm going to die here. But somehow, someway, we actually score first. Oblak tries to head out the ball from his box, and Benzema, for the 2nd time this season, chips it over another goalkeeper to make it 1-0. It was the 85th minute, and I thought I was going to get the win. But out of nowhere, Kondogbia scores a header, and he actually makes it 1-0, and that's how the game ends. And speaking of draws, in the next game against Girona, we actually get another one. We score first with Benzema, but then we shit the bed and concede, and yeah, it ends 1-0. And then the next 2 games after that were big ones. We had Barcelona at home and Real Madrid away. If there were ever going to be matches that I was going to get absolutely fisted, these were the 2. But I should have had faith in my boys. A lovely passing sequence from Josen and Benzema ends up with Benzema slotting it past to Stegen in the left-hand corner. I couldn't believe it, but after 5 minutes, we were up against Barcelona 1-0. But as expected, it did not last long. Sergio Busquets, aka Waluigi, scores from an absolute cluster in the box. But you know what? My boys were not done. Our right mid takes a shot and actually puts it past to Stegen, making it 2-1 to Elche. But then Barca come back. Christensen takes a shot, it hits the bar, and then Ferran Torres scores a tap-in. Honestly, this was a game for the neutrals. It was 2-2 at this point. But in the second half, Barca's class showed. Busquets sends an absolute ping to De Jong and he scores. And just to kick us while we're down, De Jong scores 1 more to make it 4-2. We do score a consolation goal, but it does not matter. We lose 4-3. And our next game was going to be even harder, like I said before. It was Real Madrid. They had not lost a game this year, so I just assumed we were going to lose.
Oh, I am.
And you know what? I'm not going to waste your time. We did. We lost 2-0. Vinny Jr. scored the first goal in the 3rd minute, and then Valverde smashes one in the 10th minute to make it 2-0. Going into this next game against Real Betis, we hadn't won a game in 5, and a little bit of teamwork down the left-hand side ends up with Roger Marti getting the ball and tucking it away. We were in the final 10 minutes of the game, and I thought we were going to take all 3 points, but just like a digestive biscuit, we crumbled. Canales gets it on the half volley, smashes it top bins, and makes it 1-0. Honestly, it was so gutting. We were so looking forward to getting a win. After the Betis game, we played Celta Celta Vigo. The last time we played Celta Vigo at home, we actually lost 1-0. And then this time, we lose 1-0 again. I took a good look at my performances, and I didn't even notice, but I hadn't won a game in 9.
You're just ruining it. Look at my lips. You're ruining it.
I also checked out the league after 20 games, and surprise, surprise, we were not 7th place anymore. We had dropped down to 11th place with 24 points. I also checked Benzema's stats to see how he was doing in the top goal scorers race, and he wasn't doing too bad. He had 14 goals in 19 games. I mean, he wasn't doing Robert Lewandowski levels. The TikTok star had 18 goals in 19 games.
You're a bloody prat.
After that, the next game was against Valencia. They were 3rd place in the league. I knew this would be a grueler. And for 80 minutes, we were actually pretty solid. But then out of nowhere, Cavani gets free and slots on away to make it 1-0. And again, we lose another game, making it 10 in a row now without a win. Honestly, we were stinking up the gaff. I do not know what was happening. Our next game was against Getafe, and I played it again. And boys, honestly, I wanted to bleach my eyes in this game. They score first in the 58th minute with Munir, and it was floodgates from that point onwards, as they tucked 2 more away and beat us 3-0. Boys, at this point, I was a broken man. Either way, we moved on to the next 2 games against Real Sociedad and Almeria. I simmed both of them just because I've lost literally 10 in a row, and I was like, you know what, I can't play any more games right now. And you will never believe it, boys. We won both of the games. Both of them were 1-0 wins with Roger Marti scoring in both games. So feeling a bit confident, I played the next game against Mallorca. And of course, we go 1-0 down to an absolute shit show in the box. And then in the 22nd minute, they double their lead. And long story short, they score 2 more goals and we lose 4-0. But then in the next game against Espanyol, we actually win 1-0 away from home. Roger Marti scores because Benzema is pretty much dead out at this point. But then the next 2 games, I'm not even going to talk about it too much. We lose 1-0 to Rayo Vallecano, and then we get absolutely demolished by Sevilla 5-1. And then coming off another loss against Villarreal and a 2-2 draw against Atletico Bilbao, we were at the 30 game mark in the season. And as you guys knew, and as I did as well, we were doing absolutely horrifically. We only had 9 wins and we had 14 losses. The only plus side I can take is that we actually had 1 green line in our form. At least it meant we won a game. I mean, that's something to be cheering about, right?
You caught Down syndrome.
And then I went to go look at the top goal scorer race again, and just like the team, Benzema was absolutely dreadful. The man had only 1 more goal since the last time we checked. I'm pretty sure he had 14 goals in 19 games before, and now he has 15 goals in 29 games. He was ready to leave. He was ready to go to PSG at this point. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that before actually. I was checking Benzema's stats a while back, and I noticed that he had a transfer arranged to go to PSG. So he didn't care about Elche anymore, he didn't care about the team, and he didn't want to be here anymore.
See you, chump.
And now we were down to the final 8 games. We had Real Valladolid first, and after their striker Weissman misses a sitter, he gets a little too heated and crops my player and gets a red card. And with that advantage, we capitalised and put 1 away, winning 1-0. Next game against Osasuna, we give away a penalty. And because our keeper is as blind as a bat, they easily score. And then later in the game, we actually give away another penalty from our extra chromosome keeper fouling their player. And they go score and they win the game. Atletico Madrid was also a challenge, but we do strike first from Roger Marti scoring from the spot, but then a French striker that can actually score called Griezmann puts 2 away and they win 2-1. Things do look up though. We win our next 2 games against Cadiz and also Girona, and then we were down to the final 3 games, and we were in an interesting scenario. I mean, not for us, we were completely done, but Madrid and Barca were fighting for the title, and we had both of them next. We went into the Barca game all out, and after a controversial disallowed goal, we managed to get a draw, potentially screwing them out of the La Liga title. So going into the Real Madrid game, we were Barca's only hope. Could we stop the Spanish giants from winning the title? No, of course we couldn't. They had their way with us by scoring a ton of goals, and they lift the La Liga title in our home ground. The disrespect. So that is it, guys. Of the 38 games, we were 12th place with 44 points. It wasn't the best, but at least we didn't get relegated, right? I also checked Benzema's stats for the final time, and yeah, he did as shit as I thought he would. The man ended up with 17 goals in 36 games. I mean, for a general striker, that isn't too bad, but for a current Ballon d'Or holder, that is not up to standard. So I would say this challenge was an absolute failure, but it doesn't matter. I enjoyed making it, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel, please do that. It'd be much appreciated. Either way, fellas, I hope you have a great Christmas, and I will see you soon.